Gonna do when the Panther comes? He will never end till the job is done. King of his people, enemies run, 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 run. Wakanda the brave, we are all as one. We fight for the day of the morning sun. We are not prey, we are on the hunt. Run, run, run.
Coming at lightning speed, anyone fighting me?
Everyone, Kaiser here, and today I will be doing another action figure comparison video. And today we will be talking about Black Panther from the MCU. This is a video that I wanted to do for Black History Month, and I did want it to be kind of a big video since it's talking about the MCU version of Black Panther, who was played by the amazing Chadwick Boseman, who unfortunately passed away. So I thought I would do my best to show respect to Chadwick Boseman himself, who played such an amazing character, by doing a video like in the best way possible for what I'm known for. And since I like action figures, I thought this would be the best way to do a little bit of both. So yes, we will be talking about the MCU version of Black Panther, and we will be looking at 5 figures. That being the Marvel Legends, Mafex, Mezco, Marvel Select, and the SH Figure Arts. So it's going to be quite a long video, but I hope you guys do enjoy it. And even though people aren't probably going to say this about my video, I still feel the need to say it. I don't want people thinking that I'm making this video to like get views off of Chadwick Boseman's name. That's not the case. Like I said, I just want to show appreciation to him through my love of action figures. That's all I'm really trying to do here. Again, people aren't probably going to say that, but I still feel the need to say it just in case. So with that being said, let's get into the video. First up is sculpting and painting, and this one's kind of hard to talk about since all of these figures follow the same type of painting, that being the figures mostly being sculpted in a black plastic, adding the silver paint apps, and maybe a bit of metallic shine to it. I'm not saying that's like the case for all of them, but they all seem to follow that same sort of pattern. So for the painting on all these figures, I have to say it's pretty good, even on some of the cheaper figures like the Marvel Legends. It's surprisingly clean, at least with the one that I have. But the more interesting thing comes down to the sculpting. All these figures have good sculpting, but all of them seem to have like one issue, at least when it comes to what I see. Again, it's weird, because whenever I see these figures, I can point out one thing that doesn't quite match up to how Chadwick Boseman looked in Black Panther. For example, with the Marvel Legends, while it's good for the most part, the arms look a bit weird, since it looks like the peg that connects into the arm was too small, so the arm sticks down a lot lower than it should be. And I feel like that's a complaint that a few other people had about the Marvel Legends Black Panther. For Mafex, while it looks good, I would say that it's a bit too skinny. It doesn't quite match the body proportions of Chadwick Boseman in Black Panther. For Marvel Select, it honestly looks a bit too feminine. Like, you can see that there's a curve, kind of like he has kind of like feminine hips. It's not quite V-shaped like how it's supposed to be. For Mafex, while it does look pretty good, I'm not really sure I can count it as sculpting, since Mezco usually does cloth and fabric for hero costumes. And while the SH Figure Arts looks good as well, honestly, it looks a bit too muscular, which probably, again, it's just how I look at it, but that's what I see. It looks a bit too muscular in my eyes. But I also thought it would be important to take a look at the different heads that come with the figures, since we are talking about Chadwick Boseman. And I feel the need to explain myself on how I went about this. So most of the figures do technically come with alternate heads that are unmasked, except for the Marvel Select. And the reason why there are two heads in one slot is because they're both the Marvel Legends versions, one being the normal one and one being the vibranium purple suit, which both came with different sculpted heads. But I thought since it's technically the same figure, I might as well include both and talk about them. Which goes the same for the SH figure art, since as far as I know, the original Black Panther, the Infinity War version, didn't come with an alternate head, but the exclusive did. So with that out of the way, let's talk about them. And going off of what Chadwick Boseman looks like, I would say the two that are the closest are the Mayfex and the SH figure arts, and that's also what my family thinks since I asked them. The Mezco version looks like it could be Black Panther, but it doesn't look like Chadwick Boseman per se. And for the Marvel Legends version, I would say that the first edition is it's gonna sound weird, but it looks a bit too light skinned and it doesn't quite have the same expression for Chadwick Boseman. The second head that came with the vibranium suit, which is also the one I have, looks a bit more like Chadwick Boseman, but it still looks a bit bored and bland, honestly. So yeah, the SH figure arts and the Mayfex do look pretty close, but I would say Mayfex looks a bit more like Chadwick Boseman. It just seems to capture the look a lot better in my opinion, which I think it works pretty well. I was honestly expecting Mezco to capture the likeness a bit more, but surprisingly they didn't. It was Mayfex. So yeah, when it comes to the sculpting of the heads and the painting, I would say Mayfex is the best. Like I said, the body is a bit too skinny, but it's not that off. In all honesty, it still has that look. I would just say make it a bit buffer. But yeah, for rankings, I would say Mayfex is at first, Mezco would be at a close second, SH figure arts is let's see, yeah, I would say SH figure arts is third, Marvel Legends is at fourth, and the Marvel Select is at fifth, only because, again, in my opinion, it looks a bit too feminine. Next up, we have Articulation, and I'm gonna get this out of the way. The Marvel Select figure probably has the worst articulation, which is sad. It does have pretty good articulation in there, but the two main things holding it back is the diaphragm joint and the head. For the diaphragm joint, you can't really get it to move like forward all that much, so you can't really get him like crouching. You can't really move it side to side that much. Marvel Selects are kind of known for having limited diaphragm joints, especially on their Spider-Man figures. So the fact that you can't get this figure into like agile poses kind of sucks. And that also goes for the head, since you can't really get him looking up all that much. So yeah, it kind of sucks that this figure has somewhat poor articulation. For the Marvel Legends, it's the standard Marvel Legends articulation. It works pretty well for what you want to do for Black Panther. And the fact that these figures also have a butterfly joint means you can get the arms moving in forward a lot more than you usually could. I wish that Marvel Legends would have more characters with butterfly joints, since it would help a lot with articulation. But yeah, these are actually pretty posable figures. I would say the one thing I would want is the legs to go out a bit more, so you can get like some good kicking and crouching poses. But for the most part, it works pretty well. For Mayfex, it actually has some pretty good articulation as well, and it also helps that when you get him posed up, it kind of helps with the fact that it's a bit skinny. It makes him look a bit better. But when it comes to Mayfex, you always have to be careful with Mayfex, since for some reason they have weird quality control issues. So that's something you should look out for. I'm not saying that it's gonna happen to you or that they have terrible quality control and the figure's always breaking, you shouldn't buy them. I'm just saying it as a warning, since it has happened before. That's all I'm saying. For Mezco, while it does have pretty good articulation, the one thing holding it back is the fabric that it uses. When it comes to fabric or cloth on 1/12 scale figures, there's always the chance that it's going to hinder the articulation, since kind of like with McFarlane, you're choosing the aesthetic and the look of the figure over the articulation. There are plenty of examples of it working from people who make customs or even like third party and official stuff. And Mezco does do this pretty well because a lot of their figures are still posable, but compared to a figure being all plastic, they do have limitations. So yeah, for the SH figure arts, the one thing probably holding this figure back is the fact that it doesn't necessarily have a bicep swivel. It kind of goes the Figma route where the bicep swivel is hidden behind the sculpting of the muscle. So it does limit it. It does limit it just a bit, but it doesn't limit the articulation too much. You're still able to get some pretty good poses out of this guy. And it also helps that he can get into a pretty good variety of poses such as crouching, kicking, fighting, all of that. So it does work pretty well. So when it comes to the ranking, I would say the SH Figure Arts probably comes in first, since it does, in my opinion, seem to have the best articulation compared to everything else. Second would be Mafex. Third would probably be Marvel Legends. Fourth would be Mezco. And fifth, again, would be the Marvel Select figure. Next up, we have accessories. And when it comes to the hands for these figures, most of them are the same and kind of serve the same purpose. And what I mean by that is, like, say the Marvel Legends and Marvel Select, they both have like the same types of hands, that being a pair of fists and a pair of like open clawed hands. It's pretty much the same. While the SH Figure Arts, Mezco, and Mafex all have a lot of different hands, that being like a pair of fists, a pair of resting hands, action pose hands, like, you know, open clawed hands. And for the Mezco and Mafex, both of them come with gripping hands, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, all of them do come with pretty much the same types of hands, which isn't too bad. But when it comes to the SH Figure Arts, Mafex, and Mezco, all of them come with a few more things. And the Marvel Select. So yeah, with Marvel Select, you get a base, which honestly does look pretty good, but I'm not sure how I feel about it, since I feel like I would have wanted an extra head more than the base. It depends on what you want with your Black Panther, but yeah. The Marvel Legends comes with, as I previously discussed, the Chadwick Boseman head for both the normal and vibranium suits. The SH Figure Arts comes with these different rock pieces, which is kind of a weird choice in my opinion. And like I said before, if you get the exclusive vibranium suit, then you would get a Chadwick Boseman head. But it sucks that it wasn't with the normal version. With Mafex, you get the spear, which, spoiler alert, he uses to defeat Killmonger in the last scene of the movie, which honestly does look pretty good. And when it comes to the different Black Panther heads, you get like the normal maxed Black Panther head, and you get one that shows the eyes. It is kind of a subtle difference, but it's nice that it's there. And that also somewhat goes the same for the SH Figure Arts, since that also has an alternate Black Panther head. And when it comes to Mezco, it comes with the spear and the shield that he used during his duel with M'Baku and Killmonger. And he also comes with a stand. So you definitely get a lot with this figure, and I do like that. And for the price you pay for the Mezco, I think it's actually pretty good considering what type of figure this is. So I definitely say it works. But for the best accessories out of each of these figures, I feel like Mezco and Mafex are tied because they both kind of have the same set of accessories, so you're able to do a lot with them. So I think those two would be tied, in my honest opinion. I would say SH Figure Arts comes in third. Marvel Legends probably comes fourth, and Marvel Select would come in last place, only because, like I said, I think I would prefer an extra head rather than a base. Next up, we have height and comparison. And one funny thing that I found out is that Black Panther, as like a fictional comic book character, and Chadwick Boseman both stand at around the same height, that being 6 feet. I don't know why, I just found out to be kind of cool. But when it comes to the height and comparison, that's pretty much what I'll be working off of, and also the height of some other characters. For example, Chris Evans as Captain America in the movies stand at around 6 feet, same height as Black Panther, but in the comics stands at around 6 feet and 2 inches, so a bit taller. So for this comparison, as long as Black Panther is somewhat around the same height as Captain America, I'd say it works pretty well. Starting with Mayfex, because I feel the need to say this, it still looks a bit too small. Like when you compare him to other Mayfex characters like Spider-Man and Deadpool, he looks a bit scrawny in comparison. And I know that these are comic book interpretations of these characters, but I still would have liked it if they made him just a bit bigger, because you probably still would want him to mix in with your like comic book characters, or if you do have MCU Mayfex figures such as the Mayfex Armored Spider-Man or even Homecoming Spider-Man, he looks actually pretty good there, but compared to the comic book stuff, he looks a bit off. When it comes to SH Figure Arts, he actually fits in pretty well. When it comes to different versions of Iron Man, when it comes to different like iterations of Captain America, whether that be Age of Ultron or Infinity War, he actually looks pretty good and stands around just about the same height. So it definitely works for the SH Figure Arts line. For Marvel Legends, if we compare him to the rest of his own Black Panther wave, again, he looks pretty good. I like the fact that him and Killmonger are around the same height, Killmonger probably being a bit taller, but I still think it works. When it comes to Mezco, it's actually a pretty good height as well, standing him up next to a Mezco Captain America. You can see that they stand at around the same height, but the Mezco Captain America is just a bit taller, surprisingly accurate, if I do say so myself. And for Marvel Select, I wanted to save this last because technically speaking, Marvel Select is 7 inches and not 6. But even when it comes to Marvel Select figures, I still say it works pretty well. I would say that he's probably a bit shorter than Captain America by like a few inches, kind of a lot less, well, like a lot more than he's supposed to be, but it still definitely fits in well. So when it comes to rankings, it's kind of hard to say which ones are like the best and the worst, since all of them do pull off the height of Black Panther pretty well in their own way. But if I had to pick and choose, I would say the SH Figure Arts would be first because it works well with pretty much any SH Figure Arts MCU characters you have. Second would be Mezco. Third would be Marvel Legends. Fourth would be Marvel Select. And Mayfex would be last because it is still quite skinny, so it can't really fit in all that well with your like comic book versions of characters. And that is it for the action figure comparison of the MCU version of Black Panther. I'm really glad that I was able to do this video, since I was very curious to how well these figures would stack up in terms of articulation, accessories, all that. And it's pretty safe to say for like what you collect, how much you're gonna pay for them, they pull it off pretty well, even with the problems that they have, such as such as Mayfex probably breaking on you. That's just kind of, it's bound to happen, I'm sorry. But even with that possibility, it's still, the Mayfex is still a pretty good figure. I can say that about all of these. None of them like screwed up so badly that none of them are worth buying. And if you're a major Black Panther fan, I would say, depending on what you want from Black Panther, any of these could work. And in all honesty, I'm pretty happy with the one I got, that being the Marvel Legends. I would probably give him a few more accessories, but there's nothing wrong with the accessories he comes with, especially for what you pay for, if you get him pretty cheap like I did. But yeah, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and like I said, this isn't in any way trying to like get popular off of Chadwick Boseman's name. I just want to show my appreciation for the role he played by talking about the action figures that spawned from it. That's all I'm trying to do with this video, and I hope you guys enjoy what I talked about. And hey, if you have any disagreements or like different opinions on this video, be sure to tell me in the comments. Tell me what your favorite Black Panther figure is. Yeah, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys, you know, enjoy the rest of Black History Month, because even though it's going to end very soon, there's still going to be people showing off the African American culture in their own way all over the world. So yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and Wakanda Forever.
Today, we fought as one for the glory of Wakanda.